Hey guys, I am back again. These critique videos that I keep stumbling on, not on purpose, mind you, started about 2 months ago. You can go back on my channel and watch those critique videos. So apparently, it's become a thing for me to do these videos. And I don't mean it in a mean, how would I say it, critical, even though, yeah, critique, part of critical. I don't mean it in a bad critical way because some of these guys have really good intention. But most of these guys are big YouTubers, and most of these guys are doing a lot of things wrong. And for that reason, for that particular reason, is why I'm going on those videos. I'm cherry picking the videos that I go on because I don't want to, how would I put it? If there's a homeowner, for example, and it's obvious they just bought a house and they're trying to save some money and do their own bathroom, and that's all it is. Yeah, I'm not going to pick that video. I'm not going to go and start bashing somebody, um, some DIYer. I'm not going to do that. The reason specifically that I focus on these guys is because they either have a big following and or they've gotten a lot of hits on the video. And with this guy in particular, he has almost 1 million subscribers. I think it's somewhere 800,000 subscribers. And this video in particular has almost 7 million views. 7 million. That's a lot. Where he's doing things arguably that some of them are very subjective. There's a lot of ways to do a shower. There's a lot of ways to build a bathroom. There's a lot of ways to do a lot of things as long as it doesn't fail. The problem that I have with some of the things in these videos is that it potentially is either wrong or will fail. Yet they're still putting the information out there as if it were, like it written in stone, and it's not. And I don't want somebody to go. I would rather, and it doesn't have to be my video, but it could be any other very experienced tile guy. I would rather have them go on that video where specifically bathroom remodel, shower builds, tile, and all that stuff is their lane. With most of these guys that I've critiqued, it's not their lane. They're doing it along with the other content on their channels, but they don't really have the experience or the know-how, or somehow they've gotten the know-how mixed up, or whatever the case is. It's disingenuous for them to put on a video with information that's disingenuous without doing the due diligence that one would do. As I said, if I were to do something I didn't know how to do, right now my catalytic converter is shot and I have to swap that out. But I'm not going to go on YouTube. Sorry, I'm not going to make a YouTube video about how to swap out a catalytic converter with absolutely no experience unless I've already watched 50 or 80 videos on how to do it. And then I put my video together with that knowledge in mind. So, that being said, that's the reason I'm doing these videos. And it's gained a little momentum, a little traction. So I will continue to do these until people get bored, until people get bored of them. So without further ado, I'm going to go with this guy because, again, nearly 7 million views on this one video alone. And I think it was about 3, maybe 4 years ago that he did this video, but it's still relevant to my critique. So without further ado, let me shut up and let this guy talk.
All right, boys and girls, this is not a shower. This is a phone booth with a water source. We're gonna take this space and turn it into that. So without wasting time, let's get into the video.
Just be safe about it and use goggles and gloves. And one thing I'll say is, if you make a bigger mess, well, that's just an opportunity to learn how to fix it.
It is garbage, and anybody that has it should take out as much of it as they can during the renovation. So it doesn't. There's crimps, and in my logical mind, I was always thinking that those crimps were busting, and that's the reason that pipe failed. But it wasn't. It was a chemical reaction to the material itself, and so for that reason, anytime you see this gray pipe, take it out. Take as much out as you possibly can. I had a customer some years ago, about 5 years ago. She was constantly having leaks, and all her piping was in her ceiling. So I was going there once every 8, 9, 10 months, and replacing sections of pipe every time they would bust. And so for that reason, he has most of this floor taken out. So what I would have done is gone in there with PEX or copper, anything except that polybutylene. That's what it is. So this poly is the gray stuff, and he should have taken all that polybutylene out. That's just my opinion.
Small drain from the bathtub and rerouting the large black shower drain to sit in the middle of our shower. The trap is required.
Okay. The black pipe. I don't know. Again, everybody's doing things different on YouTube, and I don't know the reason why he decided to go with ABS. He clearly has PVC going on. So why he decided to transition that to ABS, I don't know.
To create a water lock to keep the stinky sewer gases from backflowing into the shower. All of this is
Okay. Here's a problem that I have. And when I watch this video, I'm like, what the hell? So he clearly has a drain of some sort going somewhere from, I think, a bathtub, or maybe it's a sink or something like that. So in the front of your screen, you'll see the PVC pipe. It looks like a 2-inch PVC pipe, and it goes down, and there's a couple of 22.5s and 90s and stuff like that that take it down eventually to the main drain. And so there's a Y there, and that Y kind of jets off to the right there, where he has another drain where he could have just cut that off. I don't know what that black thing is in front of it. Looks like a black pipe, a small black pipe in front of it, but he should have cut that off right there. Right there, he should have cut that off, and then just kind of brought it over to the point where he has a P-trap. This is a double P-trap. This is not even a double P-trap. And if there's plumbers that are watching this, you can kind of chime in on this, but this is like, I can't wrap my brain around why he would do a P-trap that's low, which it should be, and then he goes up and over to the top of this PVC. It makes no sense. As I said, he could have just straight cutted that pipe and just brought it over to the left a little bit, and then just put his P-trap on there at that point. So I don't know, but if there are plumbers, you can chime in and put a comment on there on whether that's right or wrong. It looks wrong to me.
super easy. It's essentially like putting together Legos, but also gluing them more permanently. So here's the thing, since I'm going to have both a water rain feature coming from the middle of the ceiling as well as a traditional removable water spray handle coming from the wall, I still had to remove the old water lines because I want the ability to turn the shower on for the water to actually warm up and not freeze me without having to get into the shower. So I would need to run the new water lines from the ceiling instead of the
Okay, so that's what I was talking about. Basically, he took out all that polybutylene, but he only did it because he's going to put the fixture on the right side so that when you walk in the shower, just like my shower, you're not going to get cold right off the bat. So he did take out a lot of that polybutylene, but I don't think he took it all out.
floor to install the regulator by the entrance. While the plumbing was done, I patched up the subflooring and reinforced.
No, he's still got a bunch of poly down there. And so all that should have gone, and he's going to put on a second layer on top of this, and I don't know why, because I don't know why.
With an extra sheet of OSB for added support. Now, speaking of overkill, it might be a little overkill to make my shower 10, 12 feet long. So to stay a little humble, I only moved the wall 2 feet to make the shower 7 feet long. Now, I know it's silly how we had to tear down a wall just to build it back up 2 feet further. This was a must since we're going.
But this is crazy. Let me go back here just a second. This is crazy. You see, let me go back there a little bit. You see, he still has the polybutylene coming up through the floor, but yet he has the PEX coming down from the ceiling because that's going to be the rainforest head later on. Like, I don't know why the poly is still there.
7 feet long.
All right, so this is the water ledge that's going to be for the shower, and there's going to be glass coming all the way. There's a couple of methods that I've seen it being done. One method is putting down bricks. Makes sense, 100%, just because you got thin set mortar and all that stuff. But another guy said what he likes to do is, he's done this for hundreds of houses, he would lay down 3 2x4s that are pressure treated so they can kind of deal with any kind of moisture there. And then obviously it's all going to get wrapped with the liner that's inside this pan. But I thought it was pretty brilliant. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them in here and I'm going to put some long screws in it. And then we'll get the liner going.
The shower pan has the most.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. He talked about using brick. And he said, oh, he thinks that's a good idea because, hello, you got brick and mortar and all these other cement products, so why not put brick? I totally oppose putting brick down there because one of the problems with a pan liner is you cannot possibly well, sorry, strike that, back ass word. You have to marry your brick with your mortar pan and everything else, and then you have that wicking action. And the brick doesn't make your curb any better. It just doesn't. Because all the curb is basically a dam. It just keeps the water in just in case you have an overflow of your drain or something like that, which again, I'm going to get onto later. But overflows of a shower drain, oh my God. You could probably win the lottery. If you just played once a week, you could probably win the lottery quicker than you would ever have an overflow of your shower drain. It just doesn't happen. But if it ever did happen, you have time to go and grab a plunger. You're going to turn off the water. You're going to grab a plunger and you're going to plunge out that drain. But it just doesn't happen. A 2-inch drain just doesn't get clogged that easily. But let me get not sidetracked. So the idea of using now, I'm not going to use brick. I decided because I saw some other guy using pressure treated 2x4s, and that sounds good to me because I'm going to mitigate the water issue. If you go out to a fence that was just newly built, like with pressure treated 4x4s and things like that, or even 2x4s, you're going to see that warping action happens. If all you did is take pressure treated 2x4 and just lay it out in the sun for a month or something, you're going to see that warping going on. And true enough, he's using fasteners, but the expansion and contraction of a pressure treated piece of lumber is too much. It causes me a problem. I would never ever use pressure treated 2x4s for my curb because guess what? Everything below that is now going to expand and contract in that same way that pressure treated wood is. And pressure treated shrinks. Once all that chemical starts to dry out, pressure treated sinks. Now, having said that, if he were on a slab, then yes, I would use one pressure treated 2x4 followed by 2 regular pine 2x4s. But going forward, it doesn't look like he used pressure treated anyway. If you look at the curb, it looks like they're all just regular pine 2x4. So I don't know why he mentioned the pressure treated thing anyway.
Specific rules as well as waterproofing drainage layers that are needed to be followed very carefully. For the sake of this video, later on, I'll put out another video dedicated exclusively to the drainage and the waterproofing steps when building the shower pan. So in the meantime, I will just brush over some of these steps in this video right now.
All right, here's a little dilemma, guys. Just to show you that I'm not a contractor and I don't know what I'm doing all the time, but I'm always asking the right questions to the right people and not afraid to fail. So here's an example of failure and asking somebody for the right question. This bench cannot be closer than 8 inches away from the glass here. That's for cleaning the glass purposes and stuff like that. So it has to be either 8 flush, which I don't want it to be, meaning the window would have to come out here. It's complicated. Basically,
no, it's not complicated at all. It's not complicated at all. First of all, as bright as this guy seems to be, why he would build a bench all the way up to the curb, knowing full well by the glass gets in the middle, you've got 2 or 3 inches of room that, yes, like he said, you can't clean in that 2 or 3 inches. But I built benches flush with the curb, right on top of the curb and flush on the outside. So now the glass guy just does a cutout because it's going to be a panel there, not a door. So he just does a cutout of the bench. And it does look nice, especially after it's tiled. But instead, rather than having a longer bench that looks nice and just have that little cutout of the glass, he's going to cut that bench in half. And to me, I don't know, it makes no sense whatsoever. And it makes it more difficult to put a pan liner in because now you have an outside corner. But that's just me.
the easiest solution we found out is I'm going to chop it off right here, and I'm going to see if I can realign this for the caddy. So only human, so no point of showing you this. So I'm going to take this and just like that. We're a lot shorter. Not as pretty, but right.
I secured 2x6 scrap pieces to the base to allow for the waterproofing liner to wrap up. This is basically creating a flood zone, so we will secure the liner to this edge. Then I secured the 2-piece shower drain with the 2-inch drain pipe using adhesive and set the screws in through the subfloor. I used a mortar mix to create the first slope, which runs from 1 inch and slopes down to 3/8 of an inch, which is basically flush with the drain. Now, seems to be that some people are using carbon paper barrier before this layer, and from my homework on this project,
they're not using carbon paper. So typically, okay, so what he's doing, to be clear, for some people that don't know, he's doing a pre-slope, which boggles my mind because why do you need a pre-slope if you're doing a sealed system? And he is doing a half sealed system. So he's going to waterproof the entirety of the shower except the floor, which makes no sense whatsoever. So going forward, he's doing a pre-slope, but the pre-slope he's not doing correctly, because what he talked about, the carbon, whatever material, it would be basically tar paper. You're stapling tar paper to your subfloor. And then on top of that, you have a wire mesh. The wire mesh keeps that mortar cohesive. It keeps it together so it doesn't crack. And he's doing none of that. He has no barrier. He has the strength of that pre-slope that he's doing is tenuous. At best, it's going to crack up underneath the pan liner. And the only thing that saves him from transferring through to the mortar pan is the pan liner itself. But because he does it so thin at the drain, moving out to the perimeter, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to do a pre-slope nowadays anyway. But if you're going to do a pre-slope, at least go on YouTube University and get an education on how to do a pre-slope, because this pre-slope is wonky. Oof.
It seems like it's an old school method that's being practiced less and less these days. Next, I laid down the PVC shower liner, folding the edges and securing at the top of the 2x6 boards to prevent water leaking in case this level floods. I removed the top of the two-piece drain, laid a bead of silicone around the ring, creating a gasket, and folded carefully the water liner over it. Here's the tricky part. I used the top piece of the two-piece drain.
Okay, so let me back up to where he just started to cut the pan liner, because this is excellent. Hold on.
Creating a gasket and folded carefully the water liner over it. Here's the tricky part.
Okay, years ago,
I used the top.
God, I missed it again. Years ago, you see the flaps going into the drain. So he did a little X. And from the very start, from the very first shower pan liner I ever did, I never cut a circle. You're going to see a lot of guys cut one big circle around the drain. And that just doesn't make any sense to me. You're putting the caulking up under the pan liner because if the drain ever backs up, you don't want it to go up and over and into your subfloor. So that's why you put the caulking there. But yet that little 1/4 inch or little 1/2 inch room that you have making a circle makes no sense. Why? Do an X and then have, when you put that locking flange down, that X, those 4 flaps are going to go down. So it's much harder for water to get up through those flaps. And so he's doing this correctly, is all I wanted to say. Yay on that one.
The two-piece drain to find the hole, created a small X and screwed the top piece to the bottom piece, making sure the slits fold down into the drain. Then I found the small divots for the screw holes and secured the top of the drain to the.
Yeah, see the flaps, see the 4 flaps going down from the pan liner, because he did exactly what I do. He created an X. And I don't know that he did that because he went too fast. I don't like the fast speed videos. Again, almost 7 million views on this video that he did, but yet he's going so fast that how can any DIYer, homeowner or whatever, possibly get a grip on what he's doing, because he did it so fast. So I don't know if he did the little X's on the bolts, but I do the X's on the bolts as well as the center part. I think he just cut a hole in the X's. I don't know. I slowed it down, and I think he's just cutting a hole where the bolts go, and that would be wrong too, in my opinion.
Bottom using the provided bolts. I placed small pea gravel or pebbles around the drain for adequate drainage, and then began working on the second.
Okay, adequate drainage. This is what I want to talk about too. I want to talk about this because it matters. It kind of sort of matters to me. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can get him smaller. There we go. So he's putting pea gravel. He's putting pea gravel around the drain as added protection around those weep holes and all that stuff. And this always trips me out. A piece of gravel, I don't care how big or small it is, a piece of gravel in that little 1/4 inch. Well, first of all, your weep holes are not your only ingress of water. You've got little troughs. You've got 6 troughs going around that drain, top and bottom. You've got the cutouts where the bolts go. You've got a lot of, including the barrel itself, because there's a cutout on the threads for water to egress. So it's not just the weep holes that you're concerned about. It's all of that stuff. But what you're doing by putting pebbles there, which is a dense, a hard rock, where water would have a hard time, because as you're packing down your mortar, there's no way you could know if you're pushing a rock into the weep holes, which is hard for water to now get by. But the same sand material that you have way over here or way over here, water gets in, but when it gets down to the weep holes, it can't get in. It just drives me crazy. It drives me absolutely crazy that people think that a rock would be a good idea to put in a weep hole, but not sand. I don't know. I have to say something about that every time I do a video because it just amazes me that people just follow what how manufacturers talk about. I think manufacturers talk about putting pebbles, pea gravel, whatever, whatever. I would never do that. On a water in, water out system, you shouldn't have your weep holes clogged by anything, but you're doing that with your rocks. Makes no sense. Anyway, back to the video.
Second and final slope, which runs from 1 inch down to ½ inch, just covering the rocks. It's important to note the need for a dry compact when using the mortar mix, all while checking the slope to ensure all the water running into the drain. For cement board, I'm using ½ inch cement board to cover the walls where the tile will be hung, then securing the joints using fiberglass cement board tape and thin set. This is basically like
Okay, so I'm gonna just quickly talk about his cement board because I know other people are gonna probably talk about it too. On the left and right side, see, he's not staggering his cement board. Does that matter? To me, no. And I've seen comments on other videos and probably a few on mine where I don't stagger my cement board. You got to stagger your cement board or it's going to fail. The cement board doesn't fail because you didn't stagger it. And the cement board doesn't fail because you don't tape it. You know, what he talks about, and I think he mentions it, it's the same tape you would use on sheetrock to prevent cracking. But, and it's a big but, you're doing tape to prevent cracking, but yet you're doing a liquid topical membrane that is also a crack preventer, right? I don't tape any of my seams for a lot of different reasons. You're never going to have a crack that's going to transfer through where the seams come together. It's not going to transfer to your tile, even if you didn't waterproof, but you are waterproofing. So whatever you're using the waterproof with will stop any cracking that happens. So putting tape up there is a waste of time and energy. Just doesn't do any good. It's not the same as sheetrock.
taping the joints on drywall. For the shower niche, I bought a pre-made waterproof ditch.
And so when it comes to doing the border here, very important. You have to think of everything in terms of floodline and waterproofing in terms of that. So what I mean by that is everything sloping into the drain, correct? And then on top of it, the cement board, we didn't secure anything below the 5 inches off the ground here because we have our liner overflowing to the 2x6s. Now, this border here.
Okay, so 5 inches, he didn't have any fasteners below the 5-inch mark because, you know, again, he doesn't want to hit the liner. But the liner is irrelevant. The liner is a backup system now because, again, he waterproofed, or he's going to go forward waterproofing all of his wall. So the fact that you do 2 inches above the mortar pan or 5 inches or 8 inches doesn't matter anymore. You can go down as far as you want to because you're covering those areas. No water should get into your wall, and theoretically no water should get into your pan, but in this case he's going to allow that, which I disagree with.
We can put screws from the outside, totally okay. In fact, this liner is secured from the outside here, but we have to take consideration the liner on the inside. We can't just put cement board on the inside here and start screwing in because now we have holes and it's all, you know, it's all going to flood through. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to pour the concrete over this, or well, it's like a mortar thin set mix, whatever it is. And so to accomplish this, we're gonna set this 2x4 here. We're gonna take caulk or silicone. I think caulk is a little bit easier to take off. And we're gonna create a watertight seal. And then on this side, we're gonna secure this 6-inch long or wide cement board. Once it's secured, we're basically gonna have a channel here. Now, this is touching against it, so tile's gonna sit on top of it. We're gonna fill at least a ½ inch on top. I'm gonna do 1 inch. And then at least ½ inch on the inside. Again, I'm gonna do 1 inch. And let it sit overnight. And then our border's gonna be done. We'll take the 2x4 off and we should be good. These are the exact directions I had a few tile guys tell me. So we are so far trucking on solid ground. So.
Okay, these are the exact directions that other guys tell you. But I'm going to tell you how crazy that is. Let me back up. I know you guys already saw it and you can back up yourself, but I just want to back up because I want to talk about this for a second. You know, he's making a monolithic curb, right? And for whatever reason, I don't know, people get caught up in a lot of overkill of stuff. I have taken out half a dozen concrete benches, like literally cinder block, and then a bunch of concrete poured in the cinder block holes and all that stuff. Like this bench, you can huff and puff and blow it down and it'll never blow down, you know, just it's just crazy. But yet the bench was still saturated with water. Yet the bench still failed. The bench itself didn't fail, but the bench didn't stop the rest of the shower from failing because you huff and puffed and you couldn't blow it down. And in the same way, people get focused on these curbs. And I started seeing these curbs done this way probably, I don't know, 15, 18, 20 years ago. And I'm like, why would you do a curb that way? It doesn't make any sense for a lot of different reasons. Let me go over a couple of them. And the main one and the most important one is he's doing a water in, water out system on his shower pan, right? So now he's married that mortar, and I can't point to it on camera, but he's married that mortar that he has surrounding his curb. He's marrying that to his pan. So now when you have water in your pan, what you're going to have, it can wick up his mortar out onto his backer board on what you see on the top there, and then onto his subfloor below, which is wood. And he's going to rot out the wood below it. Trust me when I tell you this isn't something that I'm thinking will happen. This is something I've seen happen. So to have this monolithic concrete curb, whether it's brick like he talked about before, whether it's mortar, whether it's whatever, and you marry that to your pan, you're already done. The only way this would work is if it were completely waterproof, like the whole pan, everything is waterproof, then you're good to go. And I think he does waterproof his curb. I don't know. He goes so fast on the video, a lot of stuff he doesn't show. But it wouldn't matter that he waterproofed his curb. That only protects from the outside, but it doesn't protect from the inside. So you still have a transfer of your water pan material, your water pan water wicking up and into your curb and outside your floor. Second part, and this is what I really, really disagree with the most, there is no cohesiveness. There is nothing about this shower pan material. It's just floating, okay? Because he didn't secure it. He only secured it from the outside. But it's not secured from the top and it's not secured from the inside. So this shower pan liner is just kind of floating around and it's malleable. It's like it can move, right? But he's taking something that shouldn't move at all, which is this mortar on the side, on the inside, and also the top, and he's applying that with no anchoring. There's no way you can anchor mortar to shower pan liner. And it's a recipe for failure. It's just going to fail. I'm not thinking that. I know this thing is going to fail, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but I guarantee it's going to fail just because of that one mistake that he made. I mean, despite the whole fact that the wicking thing, but this non-anchoring of your liner because you're afraid to attach your wallboard to your curb because you perforated your pan. No, wrap the whole thing, butter it like I do, and then waterproof the entirety of it, and you're good to go. It doesn't matter. You know, your shower pan liner is a backup system, and it's a third backup system. It's not the first or the second. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna do an inch, and then at least half an inch on the inside. Again, I'm gonna do an inch. And let it sit overnight. And then our border is going to be done. We'll take the 2x4 off and we should be good. These are the exact directions that if you tell guys tell me, so we are so far trucking on solid ground. So that's what we're going to do. Waterproofing, folks, waterproofing.
Oh, it's not solid.
Because the cement board would get damaged if water creeped into it, we needed to waterproof this area and all the joints. I'm using this waterproofing product from Liquid Rubber. I brushed the liquid rubber on all the joints first, then laid the waterproofing membrane over it, and then covered it with more liquid rubber. This ensures all the joints are protected from any kind of potential water threat.
So it's very...
All right, before he goes on and on and on. So he's taping all of his seams and then putting the waterproofer in this black stuff that he's using I've never seen before, so I don't know who it is that makes that. I would never use a black waterproofer anyway. One of the reasons I didn't use Aqua Defense for many years is because it went on Aqua and dried a dark green, so I can't see my pencil marks. A dark green, I can't see my pencil marks. Imagine using black. That's just, I don't know. I don't know what this waterproofer is. If somebody knows what it is, put it in the comment section below because I'd be curious to want to know. I don't want to use it because it is black. I have no desire to use it. I'm just saying. But then he's talking about, oh, I'm putting the tape on here and, you know, tape and then waterproof on top of it because, I don't know, he thinks that the waterproofer alone won't do the job. So the tape will somehow help him. I don't know. Um, but here's the thing, and you're going to see a little bit later because I hijacked his conversation. The entirety of that shower, except for below where it's going to fail. All showers fail ankle below. All showers fail ankle below. Can I say it a third time? All showers that will fail ankle below. They don't fail at the walls. All of this waterproofing, and I think he does a mil thickness on this waterproofing. I think he talks about it, is totally irrelevant. If he started slapping tile on that, what he's got up already, he's good to go. The walls don't fail. You know how many times I've had a customer call me and told me that, oh, my walls have failed in my shower? You know how many times that's happened in 24 years? 0. It just never happens. All his focus should be ankle below, which he did not do.
Important that you put this waterproofing membrane on any place that you've had a joint, really. The idea behind it, I think, is when any of the stuff cracks, which you're assuming it will, this will be kind of the waterproofing membrane that will prevent water from getting behind into those little cracks. So once you get that on, I'm going to put a fat slobber of waterproofing liquid rubber here and should be good. It's almost like therapeutic,
Once every joint and seam was covered, I rolled 3 to 4 heavy coats of waterproofing using a 9-inch roller to achieve about a 40 mil thickness.
A 40 mil thickness, 3 or 4 coats is totally 100% unnecessary. I have videos on my channel going back 9-10 years ago where I painted a cardboard box with 2 coats of RedGuard and let it set for 9, 10, 15 days. It didn't matter. And then some years ago, I did a sheetrock box, a larger 2 foot by 2 foot sheetrock box. And I just caulked all the seams together. And then I painted that with 2 coats, which is paper, basically. And I let that set, I think, for 2 weeks. No water penetration. So he's doing 4 coats to get whatever mil thickness that he talked about. So he's doing this entire shower except the floor in a waterproofer, which is totally unnecessary.
As recommended by the manufacturer. For tile, I'm using this 3x12 tile in a vertical layout. From here on out, it's just a lot of patience and repetitive work. If you need a few pointers on laying tile, I made a quick video tutorial about some of the tips, tricks, and tools required when laying tile shower. I'll link that video along with the type of tile used down in the description of this video. When the tile was dry, I applied...
Hold on a minute, let me back up. One of the things I don't like either, and I don't want to go back to the beginning because this video is going on for 40 minutes anyway. One of the things I don't like is he did his floor tile after he did his wall tile. Like, to me, that's back-assward. Like, his backer board, you saw the backer board was bottomed out. It was bottomed out in his shower pan. Even though he waterproofed the walls, the backer board was touching, So waterproofing the walls did him no good whatsoever because he has a water in, water out system. Do you see any waterproofing on a shower pan? No, none whatsoever. So he's doing a water in, water out system with his backer board touching his shower pan. So his shower pan will get wet and it will transfer to his backer board from within. It doesn't matter that the outside is waterproofed. So he's failed his walls and he failed his curb by simply not waterproofing everything ankle below. He focused on the wrong thing. And now he's going forward tiling. Yeah, he should have had the gap there. He should have tiled the floor with that penny tile, especially. He should have tiled that first and then the wall tile for that proper overlap. But then again,
when the tile was dry, I applied the grout and then let the area dry one more day. Most prefabricated shower glass panels are sold up to about 3 feet wide, and since I needed 6, I had to special order it, and setting the glass on to vacuum out all the debris from the holes and secure.
All right, so I'm going to kind of stop the video right here. I want to do this little screenshot to show you a couple of things. One, I don't like I can't see it clearly. His grout looks like extra large, and I don't know why, especially there where the penny tile is at. I don't like that a bit. It looks like 1/4 inch grout lines to me. which is crazy for this little ceramic tile that he's using. That being said, that's not kind of also why I stopped the video. Again, ankle below is where your failures happen. And I'm assuming he didn't show it because he went through his video way too fast, but I'm assuming he did not waterproof his curb top. So now he's got his field tile as his curb material, which would be wrong, 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 wrong. He could have used a quartz, like a piece of quartz. He could have used, there's 4 or 5 different colors now. It would have been black, it would have been white, it would have been off-white, whatever. One monolithic curb top, a 6-inch wide piece that he could have it overlap with half an inch, or he could just put an extra piece of backer board and make it like flush, which I do. And then he wouldn't have to worry about water penetration. The water penetration he has now with that grout line, especially on the inside, because I think I'm looking at, am I looking at the inside of the shower or the outside? I'm not sure. But anyway, that being said, the grout lines that he has both down the center of his curb and on either end, that's where we run into failures. We run into failures left and right of the curb all the time. And then he's allowing that water to get in the center too. I don't like that at all. I don't like that. I don't like this at all.
Or the special tapered anchors into the holes. I then aligned the glass into position and secured the brackets into the anchors with the provided screws. All that was left was to trim off the 1/8-inch spacers with a blade and fill all the brackets and all the seams using the water.
Yeah, I don't do glass. I stay in my lane. I leave the glass to the professionals. You know, that's pretty brave for him to do his own glass, but okay, whatever. Um, Again, I'm looking at it now clearly. Look at all these grout lines that he has with the field tile wrapping his curb. It doesn't matter if it looks good or not, it's not practical. And all of his grout lines are inside of the shower, the inside. So his center grout line runs the whole length of the shower on the inside of the shower. And then all his cross sections of that field tile. And he didn't waterproof his curb. And his curb is made out of made out of mortar. And even if he used mortar, I don't know if he used Type S. If he used mortar, just your regular mortar like he used for his floor, then that would have been wrong. Type S is more, it has lime in it. It's just a stronger material. And if he was, and I would never do it, but if he was going to do it, it should have been Type S, and I probably wasn't. And then he didn't waterproof his curb either. I don't know. That's a failure waiting to happen. Regardless and despite that he meant well, regardless and despite that he's got a huge following, almost 1 million subscribers, and regardless and despite that there's almost 7 million views on this, it is just wrong in a lot of different ways that no experienced tile guy would do. And again, YouTube University is open to the world, and there's no admission fee. There's no reason he should have been making these mistakes. And yeah, you could argue the point that a lot of these are minor and that I'm nitpicking, but no, I'm not. Especially that drain, that S drain that he did on the shower. I don't like that at all. There's a lot of stuff on here, but the practical issues is the drain. There's a lot of stuff, you know, the waterproofing of all the walls, but not the floor. I don't know. I'm kind of done with it. I don't like bashing people. I really don't. It seems like it. I don't like bashing people. I just don't like putting out wrong information. I don't. If there was any videos on my long history of 400 and whatever 70 videos that I have on my channel over 15 years on YouTube, if there was something I was doing wrong, I would delete that video. Or I would make a correction, or I would somehow repost it with my corrections made or something like that. I don't know. I just don't, I feel it's disingenuous to put out information that's incorrect, especially if you have an ability to know that it's correct or not. There was no YouTube when I started. There was no YouTube when I started. But now you have access to all this information. And I don't like giving wrong information. Anyway, I'm going to end this.
One of the last steps in waterproofing, they recommend to take.
Okay, this drives me crazy too, this whole silicone notion. He's clear silicone on every corner that he possibly can, including, hold on a minute, let me back up a little bit here. Just silicone everywhere. And he's putting silicone on this plate. All of these plates have a foam backing. And when you push that discussion plate on, it compresses that foam backing so you have no water going in. Water doesn't run this way. It doesn't run this way. It runs down. So that he's siliconing his plate is just kind of dumb. Now, his plate may not have the foam backing, but 99% of the plates out there have a foam backing that compresses down on your tile. So to silicone around this is totally unnecessary. And arguably, in my opinion, siliconing around everywhere else he's siliconing is totally unnecessary. Because what are you stopping? You're stopping water from getting where exactly? I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, especially with penny tile, look at all the grout that he has. Water's going to get through that grout and into his mortar pan 100,000%. Is 100,000% a number? So what do you, I don't know what he's stopping there. I really don't. And then plus the fact that silicone is really, really hard to take out. And inevitably he will have to scrape all that stuff out. He's going to be cussing himself, especially on penny tile, trying to take out silicone on top of that. But I think this is just the final phases of him putting the pretty stuff up. Rainforest head, I don't like. I've never liked rainforest head since I used one the first time back in the Philippines. It just doesn't do anything. You're constantly moving your whole body every which way you can, your legs and your arms and everything to try and get, there's no pressure on it either. So it's just, to me, it's useless. And it used to be a big thing about, I'm going to say about 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, everybody wanted one of these. And I was doing them because my customer wanted them, but I don't like them. I personally think they're useless. He could have edited his video a lot better. Well, first of all, he, as I said, he could have gone on YouTube University and gotten his bachelor's degree at least. But barring that, when he's not having that knowledge, common sense, and some of the things that he talked about on his curb and how he's going to have half an inch of mortar. Half an inch is barely nothing on the inside of his curb, attached to what? To pan liner. It just doesn't make any sense. The critical thinking doesn't kick in. When he did critical thinking, talking about, I was going to do my curb out of brick, but I decided to back off of that because other guys were talking about 3 2x4s that are pressure treated, and that sounds like a better idea. When and I know, and everybody knows that pressure treated wood warps and it does all kinds of wonky things. And you're upstairs. And your curb should never see any water anyway. If you use pressure treated wood to stop water that's on a subfloor that's wood, how has that done you any good? Like, your curb should never see water anyway, but even if it did, the pressure treated wood is not going to stop it. Anyway, I'm going to stop now and probably come up with another video next week as soon as I find if anybody has any ideas, if anybody's seen a video where somebody has kind of made a lot of mistakes, even if it's mine, I'll do a critique. I'll do a critique of my own video. Trust me, I have no problem critiquing myself whatsoever. But yeah, I'm basically done 45 minutes later. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful week, what's left of it. Wait for my video coming up Friday, the 10-part series of how to convert a tub to a shower. I think Friday's video is waterproofing, which goes back to him not waterproofing. So yeah, I'm painting on RedGuard and probably talking about some other stuff. I don't know. Go watch it Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anyway, have a great week, guys. See you later.